Greetings and welcome to episode 11 of the weekly review. The weekly podcast for Words About Games, where we talk about the games we've been playing. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, and I'm joined this week by a man who's eating his own beard.
Ho ho ho! How are we all doing?
Jolly Saint Moody.
I'm eating my beard right now. It doesn't taste good.
No, it doesn't look like it would taste very good.
No, it doesn't.
How are you feeling about this idea, Moody?
Not good. It may not last long.
That's fair. That's fair. I just want to watch his style. For anyone who's listening to this on the old audio channels, Moody has dressed in a Santa hat and fake Santa beard,
With a fire that just died in the background.
and with a fire that's just changed to an
Changed
advert
to something else.
for something. I'm trying to figure out what it is. It's got it. Yeah. Okay. Now we're browsing. Now we're back on Netflix. Now I'm just narrating everything that's happening in the background of Moody's Christmas-tacular.
Yes, we are. Now we're going to pick a Netflix Christmas movie for you.
God,
I
no,
hope we don't get copyrighted.
I'll somehow get copyrighted for it. It'll be the one.
You don't want to see those, ladies and gentlemen. That's nothing you want to see.
You're going to have to spend the entire rest of the podcast like with your arms up like this. Like,
Yeah.
Let me tell you about Spider-Man. How's it going?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Is that how it's going, or?
The fire's coming back. I think so. All right. It's been a up and down week, but yeah, it's been all right.
I've been using a pen lid as like a fidgety doodah. When I've been sitting at my computer, I've bent it.
You spent it.
It's bent.
Was it because I turned up like this?
Yeah, it was like everything was fine, and then I was just like,
God damn him. God damn him.
This isn't even the last podcast before Christmas.
I know. What could I do on the final one?
It is the last weekly review before Christmas, though. So we're going to talk about the games and then probably talk a little bit about what's happening after we take a 2-week break for Christmas and New Year. Because Christmas and New Year, hard. That's it. That's the tweet. But yeah, this week we're talking on this show about a game we haven't played, rendering my entire introduction meaningless. We're talking about Cyberpunk 2077. We'll also be talking Marvel's Avengers, Kate Bishop, Operation Taking Aim. What a title. A bit of the Pathless. And I think Moody wants to talk a little bit about Spider-Man as well. Miles Morales.
Yes.
Yeah, I said that and then I realised, wait, that's a different game.
Yes. Wait, you want to talk about a 2-year-old game?
You want to talk about a 2-year-old game? Hey, get out of here. We make special videos on this channel just about those.
I know. Well, she does. I don't.
I do.
She's in the process of doing that right now.
I'm the only one dumb enough to want to spend that amount of time talking about old games.
You said it, not I.
Hey,
well, I'm the one's dumb enough to come dressing up like this, so we balanced each other out pretty well, I think, Amy.
I think, yeah, your dumbness plus my dumbness, it's like an even keel of just dumbness. I'm going to be watching you just fiddling with that mustache.
Beard mustache thing. At least my lips are really red now.
Wow, you're not allergic, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh dear. Yeah, so let's start. We're going to talk about, like I said at the top, a game neither of us have played. Cyberpunk 2077. So
I gotta take it off.
While Moody takes it off, before I take it all off, baby. Oh yeah, take it all off. I was going to do a really serious disclaimer about Cyberpunk, but I got caught in the bit.
I'll put the hat back on.
I got caught up in the bit. Yeah, so neither of us have played it. This is not a Cyberpunk review. Do not treat anything we're about to say as if it is a review of a game, because, like I say, we haven't played it. These aren't even our impressions of the game itself. I imagine talking about the actual video game isn't going to come up too much. Beyond
I'll be very surprised.
clips and screenshots that we've seen,
Yeah.
Shared around, like, and even then, I don't know. The focus of this is going to be multifaceted, I think, because I think we both have things to say about Cyberpunk. I haven't played it. I have no intentions of playing it. Moody hasn't played it. I don't know if he's going to play it or not. I don't think he knows.
I am probably waiting until next year now because of what's been going on with this stupid basically what's been going on, how stupid the things are happening with this game.
Yeah, so I don't know, if you've been listening regularly to podcasts, Words About Games podcasts every Friday, youtube.com/Words About Games UK, and podcast services around the world, you'll probably know that we're not necessarily the biggest fans of Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red, based on a multitude of different factors surrounding enforced crunch, death march type style game development, transphobia. There's a list. There's a long laundry list of reasons why my hype for Cyberpunk went from 80% when I was when I knew it was a thing to 0 over the course of a few years. It's if you draw the graph, it's like a line that goes down the further along the time axis you go. And I think we just wanted to talk about that because, I don't think we're going to talk about the game, but the game itself has been the main talking point of our little group chat for the entire week, despite the fact that none of us have played the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to do a separate video, but because we wouldn't have really had that much to talk about on this podcast anyway, I figured let's just do it here in this podcast where we talk about games. Let's talk about a game. And I don't know, Moody's got a burning thing he wants to get off his chest straight away, so we're going to use that as the starting point. I'll let you do the thing first, because I always talk first on these podcasts.
But you do it so elegantly.
I mean, that's not true, but
that's true. I know. I won't lie. I heard it. I heard me say it, and I was thinking, Jesus, that was nothing but bullshit there.
Bullshit.
Jesus.
Before Moody calls out my complete bullshit, I'll let him talk.
So, as of speaking right now, on Metacritic, Cyberpunk has a critic score of 90 and a user score of 6.8. And on OpenCritic, they have a top critic rate average of 91 and a critics recommendation of 94%. OpenCritic rating mighty type of thing. So overall, it has got well-received critic responses from everybody. What has annoyed me about this game so much, and Amy, you threw off a couple of things right off the top. The crunch, the transphobia, etc., which could push anybody overboard, like it did for you. You will not be playing this game. You have no intention to play this game for many, many other reasons, but just those are just a couple of ones that came off my head there. The fans, how they have reacted and acted towards the complete defense of this game, the defense of the developer, for one, not putting in a warning that could make people have epileptic fits.
Yeah. So let's break that down for people who don't know what that actually was. That was the thing that happened.
Yeah.
Leanna Ruppert, who writes at Game Informer, she's really good. Cool. Go follow her. She's really cool. She put out. It was a separate article, right?
Yes.
She talked about separate from a review. There was some epilepsy issues with Cyberpunk 2077, and she suffers from epilepsy. And one of those issues was there's a sequence in Cyberpunk 2077. It's not in there anymore. From what I've read, it has actually been patched out now. Where you put on a headset of some description, and it plays a series of lights, and the sequence of lights that it played in the game is a specific. What's the best way to describe it? It's a specific sequence used by doctors for medical reasons to induce seizures in people who suffer from epilepsy, which seems really specific.
Just a little bit, yeah.
And obviously this is a problem for people who suffer from epilepsy, because this isn't like the covered by the standard epileptic warning at the beginning of every video game, where it's like, look, there are going to be flashing lights in a game that might trigger a seizure. This is a thing that will definitely trigger a seizure, because that's what the sequence of lights is designed to do. So it was a problem. Liana wrote a Game Informer article about it. She tweeted it to CD Projekt Red. And I think a critical thing just to know, as Moody goes into his discussion on this particular point, is that CD Projekt Red responded pretty swiftly to say, yeah, you're right, this is bad. And they updated the game once to include a very specific trigger warning at the beginning of the game, and then they updated the game with a patch later on to remove the lights completely.
Yeah. And it's fair to say, just the disgusting amount of hate that she got from this, just by calling something out that was right to be called out, and then those people defending CD Projekt Red for not having a warning in this game is disgusting. And it's just can be you are basically, for me, you are like, oh, they don't need to do this type of thing. Fuck those people. I'm thinking, hello, everyone deserves to play this game. I've had a good friend of mine who was on my podcast, who works on my podcast, called Scott Sedman, who is disabled, and he couldn't play this game until he was gracious enough to someone bought him the Xbox disabled pad, the help disabled people controller.
Adaptive
accessibility controller. Yes, I know there's other words better than what I said at the beginning there. But the adaptive controller. Yes, thank you. I apologize for what I said.
Cool controller
for anybody. Yeah, it looks cool controller, but he was not able to. He normally plays with a controller because he's able to still, because of accessibility from the games. They had no accessibility in it. For this, he had to have the adaptive controller, which absolutely broke his heart and really upset him for this and really pissed him off. And he's got attacked for that because people are saying, yo, the game doesn't need to cater to disabled people. I'm like, what the hell, people? Seriously, you are defending this. And that is the quintessential thing, which is disgusting. Everybody, in any terms, has a voice, and everybody deserves to play the goddamn game. Everybody does. And for anyone trying to defend that was disgusting. And for that, made me go, I'm not playing this game anytime soon. I do not want to, because of the fans, not because of the developers or the bad mixture of reception it's getting with all the bugs and everything, just because of the fans. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me. Like, The Last of Us Part 2 got smashed like crazy because of the other things in general, which was just as disgusting as this thing was as well. But
no fans of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, for me, you guys are not fans of games in general. I'm just gonna say, you're just not fans, and you're just not nice people, and you don't. Cyberpunk, for me, or CD Projekt Red, you should be condemning them. I don't think they've come out and said anything, which is a shame, personally. If they have, please correct me, ladies and gentlemen. I will happily hold my hand up there, but I don't believe they have. And it's just, like, I was excited for this game at the beginning of the year. I said my top 2 most anticipated games were The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. And the build up to Cyberpunk 77, I understood all the delays. I said, oh, delays are good. It's fine. Do that. We have no problem. I had a problem with the last delay because it felt like, especially with all the things we were hearing about the crunch and everything, and then it's what we were saying has literally come out to be true. They've released a game that's a buggy mess. And if any other developer, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, Sony or Microsoft, threw out, they would be getting trounced on by now. The entire game in Unity would be charging on them, saying, you've released a buggy-ass game. You would be hearing people saying, oh, I've enjoyed this game, type of thing. And I applaud those people who are enjoying this game. Fantastic. I celebrate that for you. But this is the thing. It's just, CD Projekt Red deserve the praise they have got from the previous games they've released. Witcher 3 is arguably one of the best games of of the last generation. I think there's no argument for that to say it's at least in the top 10 of the best games of the last generation. And they deserve all the praise and they deserve all the goodwill that they push towards for free DLC and all like that and pro gamer stuff. And they did it in a great way. But that game came out buggy as well. Maybe not to the extent of Cyberpunk, it looks like it. But it's... You're allowed to criticize them, ladies and gentlemen. They're allowed to be criticized. And trust me, they would want to be criticized so they can get better. You fundamentally defending them in many disgusting ways, as if it's for that thing that could cause seizures, not accessible to disabled gamers and everything else, and you're just defending it. And then you go and charge and bully the GameSpot reviewer
Callie.
just because she gives it a 7 out of 10, which is still a good score. It's just not an 8 or a 9 or a 10. It's just, that's her personal opinion. It's called subjectivity. You're allowed to have difference of opinions and you're allowed to disagree, but you don't take it to that type of level where you attack that person just for having a different goddamn opinion than you. And it's disgusting. And that's what there's multiple reasons, but those reasons are the main ones. I'm just like, your fans, you have caused me not to want to play this game right now. It's not you, Cyberpunk, or CD Projekt Red. I know you will learn from the things you have done, but I rephrase that. I hope you learn from these things that you have done. That's just
I don't know. Like, I kind of hope. I mean, unfortunately, one thing that they might learn from the things that they've done is they already covered the cost of development and marketing before the game even came out, so they don't need to worry about it. I mean, they've spent a lot of goodwill, but they'll get that back. I'm sure they will. They're CD Projekt Red. Everybody loves CD Projekt Red. At least they're not Ubisoft and EA and etc. etc. All the other ones that you listed. I'm glad Scott got it.
They just crunch everyone as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to know the dirty secret about the AAA video game industry? Everyone's doing it. But I'm glad Scott got his controller to be able to play the game because he's clearly excited about it. Like, I got a text message off a friend. I was telling you about it while we were recording the last podcast, which was like, "What do you think of Cyberpunk?" Like, because I'm thinking about getting it. Just like, I mean, I don't have the time to sit down and talk to you what I think about Cyberpunk right now.
Yeah. Why we're doing this episode so she can just tag her to that.
It's just like she's bought it, she's played a bit of it. She knows about the stuff surrounding it with like the transphobia and whatnot. And hey, like, I'm not gonna tell anyone they're not allowed to play a video game. Like, you do whatever you gotta do. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. But yeah, like, the defense, the unwavering defense of Cyberpunk 2077, and like, we're gonna hit on things where there's much deeper conversations to be had that don't just revolve around Cyberpunk 2077. But this is a segment on a podcast about Cyberpunk, so this is going to be anchored around Cyberpunk a lot. And maybe we'll have more of these conversations in 2021 because I'm sure everyone's going to love them. Am I going to get no negative feedback from this whatsoever? But it's a symptom of a culture of hype that surrounds video games, which we've touched upon on podcasts before when we've discussed reactions to things. Most famously, when Last of Us Part 2. When Last of Us Part 2 story got leaked, even though it's kind of like the reverse situation to what Cyberpunk is, and there's the ones people defending the game, it was people attacking the game. But it comes from this really, like, hype has become this very toxic thing around surrounding video games specifically, where it's not enough to just be excited about a game, right? Like, for example, we are sitting down right now to think about Game of the Year and what our most anticipated games of 2021 are. So, like, in like a part of my brain, I'm thinking about what games am I excited for next year. Well, I can pluck a dozen out of the air. Let's say Hitman comes out in January, Hitman 3. I'm really excited about Hitman 3. Like, if something came out about the game, the developer, that I didn't like or agree with, like, I will be critical about that.
Hmm.
Like, that's that because I'm a rational human person. Like, um,
People need to look that up in the dictionary, I think.
when it comes to the defense of Cyberpunk, there were a lot of people who were not acting rationally because hype has become toxic. Like, people have taken a support of a game, of a video game, personally. So if someone says something negative about Cyberpunk, there is a part of a certain subset of Cyberpunk fans pre-release who will take that as a personal attack on them because
Hmm.
they've maybe already pre-ordered the game, or they've maybe already like spent the money to buy the game and now they're waiting for
Yeah.
it to come out, and they've become, and this type of person has sort of become so ingrained, like had their like almost their identity entangled with this video game to the point where if I criticize Cyberpunk, to them I'm criticizing them, and so they'll get defensive about it. And we saw this in the reaction. We've seen this in reactions to things I've said about Cyberpunk over the past couple of years, but like on a much larger scale, we've seen it with the GameSpot review and with Liana, who wrote this Game Informer article about the epilepsy problems that I described earlier, and part of the response to that was people sending her videos disguised as help, and those videos being the actual seizure triggers that she described. Like someone like I'm guessing the first one that she saw, because she tweeted about this, she opened it and had a seizure. Like a cyberpunk fan who could not stand for anyone saying anything negative about the game in any way caused someone to have a seizure. That is a chain of events that actually happened. And it's because hype has become so toxic. It's why I bristle when like people talk about being hyped for something. I can't help but have a defensive reaction to that. Not to the point where I'm going to talk down to anyone or shout at anyone about being hyped, but just because I've seen where hype leads, and it leads to things like the Cyberpunk situation. Like there's the Simpsons meme going around of weird nerds diving in front of the valid criticism of Cyberpunk 2077, but it's true. Like
Yeah.
it's true. Like people will defend this game if you say anything negative about it. I'm not sure how the situation has shifted now that people are playing the game, and a lot of people who seem to have been on the ride or die defense at all costs of Cyberpunk 2077 have seemed to have found the game is horrifically broken. Um, which seemed that glad you found a line, guys. Like the transphobia, sexism, racism, and everything else. That was fine, but the bugs. At least we found a line
We have a
that
common
can't be
cause for what's
crossed.
okay now, guys.
Great.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the bugs and the reviews and stuff in a sec because I want to pick that part as well. But the the main thing that gets me, and it does turn you off from the game. It turns me off from wanting to play things. Like when it just becomes this unbearable way of. There's no way the game can be this good, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there's no way the game can be this good, and it becomes obnoxious. But more importantly, it becomes toxic, and people start lashing out in all directions. And that is the state of the games industry in general at the moment. And it's spurred on by bad actors on Twitch, on YouTube. I mean, there's one specific YouTuber who has just been literally sending wave
Oh,
after wave of people towards, in this instance, Callie for the GameSpot review, and other people who defended Callie. This guy did this like a few weeks ago when a
he
Twitch.
did it also. He did a ton, like 20 odd videos for The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, yeah. It was a few weeks ago when Zombie Kills, the Twitch streamer, pointed out to Sony, hey, a bunch of people just tweeted out that they got their PS5s for review, and I noticed that there aren't really any black creators who got them. And he went and she's still dealing with the harassment that this guy sent her. And unfortunately, these people have voices and an audience that they can just point in specific directions.
Mm-hmm.
Get them.
I'll say one thing about that person, which we will not name. All I'll say is, I'll say I hate bullying. I've always have my entire life. I consider it a cancer. It's one of the worst things I consider on this bloody planet, and there's many bloody things that are really, really bad. All I'll say is that Karma's a bitch, though, because he has got the people. The people are backing her back. They're fighting for her corner and everything, and she deserves it because she just gave a constructive review of nothing, of just a game, and this person sent a ton of hate, and now he started complaining. Oh, I'm now getting attacked, type of thing, and I'm just like, I have no sympathy for you, mate. I don't condone it, but I literally don't have sympathy for you. You deserve it.
The issue,
So,
I mean, the large part of the issue is, and I'm sure this YouTuber is getting a lot of shit. Is the second video that they made was I'm being harassed by people in the industry, and it's like, no. What's happening is you've attacked someone in the industry, and that person has friends and colleagues, and all those people are doing is standing up for her. That's how it works. You come at one of us, you come at all of us. That's how it works.
yeah, yep. People don't stand for bullying. And you just
yeah. So I wanted to get that off. That was a bit I wanted to get off my chest. But my main issue.
If you want to know the person, he's easily defined on YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But I'm not going to mention the bastard. So
absolutely not.
And that's me being polite with the word bastard. I'm saying there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, like the hype toxicity. It's not just a Cyberpunk issue. It's an everything issue. It's a gaming issue in general.
The movie issue, everything issue. Yeah.
Like if there's a big game coming out, there will be people whose identities almost feel like they're wrapped up in. It's the same thing we've talked about with the PlayStation versus Xbox debacle, where it's like people have, and I mean I say this unironically wearing a Nintendo t-shirt, but if you say something critical about Nintendo, I'll probably agree with you. But it's like they've wrapped this up in their identities to the point where anything negative, any criticism at all, will just be met with defense, and not nice defense. Like you can have we've had plenty where we've disagreed and had debates, but it's not that kind of defensiveness, right? Like Moody's talked shit about Titanfall 2 a bunch of times, and I've always stood my ground and said, no, actually, I think it's a great game. But
yeah. 9 times out of 10, I do it for jokes. So, you know,
there's no way. Like if Moody said something about Titanfall, or I said something about, I don't know, Dragon Age Inquisition, let's say, and like we're gonna suddenly like send each other Caesar inducing videos, like, and unfortunately that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Like I was doing research on the Cali Plague situation, right?
Yeah.
Before this podcast, because I wanted to make sure I had some facts right before I talked about it, and legitimately found an article which is titled "A Harassment Campaign Against Cali Plague shows as Gamergate is still undefeated." And I was like, cool, this must be it. This must be like an opinion piece about it. And it's certainly an opinion piece from May 2019. This isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the first time this has happened, and it includes the same people.
Yep. We've always known. We've known for years. This is the thing about it, that fans in any genre, any quote unquote gaming stable, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, or developer station, that they will fight tooth and nail to defend it. And 9 times out of 10, they always go too far. And it's just getting to a point where you're just like it's just a game. It's a piece of entertainment that we are meant to lose ourselves in and have fun. And when, like I said off what the reason why I'm not getting this right now, you've got the fans, you have gone so far to make me not interested in this game and to make it not fun for me to even play. Because if I think I was playing this right now, I would literally be like, I don't think I would have the urgency to play it because of the backlash towards it right now and the stupidness that's gone towards this right now. And that's pulled me out to make me go, I'm not touching this right now because you don't deserve my attention this moment in time. I've got other things going on in my life. I've got other things I would rather play right now.
Yeah.
And that's just, and this was one of my most anticipated games at the beginning of the
Hello,
year.
PlayStation 5, you're nice and shiny.
You know, that's how crazy it is. I was so hyped. And and I never once attacked anyone when it came to The Last of Us Part 2. You had legitimate reasons why you didn't like that game. That was perfectly fine. I'll shoot anyone down if anyone came at me and said it's because of why women and all this. I'm like, go away, mute. See you later, you
Women with
moron.
muscles? I don't think so.
I know, women with muscles. It's like, damn. It's like it's never been happened before.
No,
Type
it's
in muscly
impossible.
women on Google, ladies and gentlemen, you'll find something.
Biologically impossible, I guess.
I know. Or at the time, what the rumor was.
I mean,
Oh my god! Spoilers for The Last of Us 2. Joel gets killed by a trans character. I'm saying, why would that be a problem if that did happen? May I ask that? What is the actual problem for that? There's no problem. You are just a disgusting human being.
I know.
That's all it is.
Especially considering you said that sentence in the polite version and not the original version that
Yes.
people are actually saying it is.
Yes. Well, I don't want you to get demonetized, Amy. So
I'm not monetized. I mean, one, I don't want anyone saying that anyway, but two, I'm not monetized anyway.
I don't want the YouTube to say, "Oh, this person on this podcast said something that."
Oh no, yeah.
And when we haven't normally done anything really wrong, we call shit out, but we don't do anything wrong. But any other podcaster or YouTuber out there does it, they get to have millions of subscribers or followers or whatever, and people, YouTube keeping them around because capitalism, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, capitalism. It's really the root of all our problems, right? When you boil it.
The worst thing is capitalism can be a beautiful thing. We all know it can be if done right, and we know this, and it's just never done right these days, which is disgusting. But that's another topic we could have further down the line as well.
Not a gaming topic.
Not a gaming topic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it was your number 2 most anticipated game of 2020. I did the podcast with you. It was my number 0. It wasn't on my list.
Yeah. You were still interested in it, but like further things have just happened, and it's just gone, nah, not touching you. And
yeah,
it's deserved.
I mean,
for me.
yeah, my interest was already waning from like by the time we did that anticipated podcast. Like,
can I just say something quickly before you continue? I've got both the Metacritics both up for The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. The user scores are quite close. These two are the most anticipated games of 2020, and the user scores are very close to each other. Last of Us is 5.7, and Cyberpunk's is 6.8.
yeah,
They're very close to one another. I bet that. What were the? I'm curious, Liz, what were the goddamn odds for that to happen for both of those? Because if you actually made that bet, you probably got yourself quite a bit of money for that.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have assumed. I never would have thought the gamers would ever turn on Cyberpunk. Like, I mean, I knew they would. As soon as I knew because I never knew the specifics of the leaks from The Last of Us Part 2. But as soon as I knew the vagaries of what people will lose their mind over, I would have said, yeah, this user score is going to be bad because people are going to review bomb the game because they're troglodytes.
And that's being polite.
And that is being polite. I used a polite word to describe the fucking cunts. But
she thought, "Oh, let's screw it. Let's just get in there, ladies and gentlemen."
That's how we do it. That's the setup and the payoff.
Yeah.
We call that comedy. But yeah, like I wasn't interested because of the transphobia. I'm not going to go through all of the problems with Cyberpunk 20. Well, not even really. It was with CD Projekt Red as a company. There's going to be links in the description to a really good Polygon article that goes through the way Cyberpunk was marketed, and there's also going to be a really good reset era thread, which I've been kind of living in partially for the past week about the same topic. Like, the defense of that had always been from CD Projekt Red, not from gamers. Gamers suck. The defense of that had always been it's a dystopia, because I think a lot of criticism kind of became focused on the Chromatica advert, which they also showed at E3, like they were there in the booth, of the woman with the gigantic throbbing penis that was the wrong way. It was pointing in the wrong direction, but hey, whatever, you do you. As being exploited of trans women, of the sexualization and fetishization of trans women, which is a real thing. God, is it a real thing? The justification given for that was more or less it's a dystopia where bad things like this are happening. And I was like, cool, okay. I didn't give them the benefit of the doubt because they hadn't earned it, but if I had given them the benefit of the doubt, I would have said, cool, well, let's see how that looks in the game. And how that looks in the game is these adverts are everywhere, and there's no commentary on them. And this is what happens when you make a game that doesn't want to make a political statement. It ends up making a statement. It's just not the one you thought you were making. Like, I've read and spoken to a lot of trans people or just like people who are aware of these issues, who have played this game, and it sounds not horrific, like it's worse than horrific. It's like they went out of their way to just be nothing in this game, like with this game. Like there is a trans character in a side quest. Great, well done. Like you managed to meet the minimum standard for inclusion. Congratulations.
Well, that's how low the bar is for inclusion, is it? Damn.
I mean, that's one too many, depending on which game is you ask. But
Jesus, man.
like it says nothing, which means it stands for nothing, which means it means nothing. Like, and it's fine. Like a game or any piece of fiction, it's fine to not have a not have a message. Some things exist purely for entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? Like, I ragged on Call of Duty a few weeks ago because it was dumb. But it was dumb on purpose, right? It wasn't trying to have a deeper meaning about war or spying or anything like that. Like geopolitical history. It was just meant to be a dumb game where you shoot things. And you know what? It was a dumb game where it shot things, and I'm not going to criticize it for not having a strong political stance on, like, LGBT rights or whatever. But the issue comes from a game like Cyberpunk, where they've exploited LGBT things. Rights doesn't sound right. Things, like the imagery in the Chromatic or advert.
Yeah.
The use of hashtags, the non-apologies, the transphobia on their Twitter threads, and that's just talking about the one thing, that's sexism and racism. The very first time we ever saw this game, the trailer was a white guy killing a bunch of black gang members who all called themselves the Jackals and were very stereotypically and had very stereotypical accents. That was the first trailer we ever saw for this game. But if you're going to have these things and use these things, you need to say something about them. If you're going to have a dystopia, you need to say something about it being a dystopia and how this is bad. Otherwise, it just becomes wallpaper. And it means nothing. And then your game is meaningless. The Last of Us Part 2 did this really well. They had a transgender character. Now, it might have been traumatic. Like, the story might have been based in trauma. But it also had something to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it said it.
And it also spoke to people who were trans people.
Yeah, they also spoke to trans people.
How are we doing this and everything, Yeah,
but
they wanted to make sure that they were honoring, doing it right, and not going too far.
Yeah, like they did a story, and it was an actual story, and it was uncomfortable at times. The whole game was, but like for me personally, like it did a good thing. I mean, I would like some trans stories that aren't ruining the trauma of being trans. That's great, but it's The Last of Us Part 2. Like it's not even about like you can have a game with no trans characters. That's cool. You can have a game with trans characters and never make it a thing. That's also cool. We've had a game like that come out earlier this year as well. Like, you can't have it both ways, and that goes for anything: sexism, racism, anything. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like it. You can't have it where it's like, hey, this bad thing exists. It's bad. Okay, what is your game saying about it? Nothing. Okay, then why is it in your game? Why is it in your game? Because it's cool. See, no, it's not. That's where
You
we
know
start
why it's in your
disconnecting.
game. You just don't want to say
Yeah, I know
why.
why it's there. I know why you marketed this. I know why CD Projekt Red did a lot of things that it did leading up to the game's release, because they were courting a very specific kind of audience who had very specific kind of reactions to things like a 7 out of 10 review score on GameSpot.
Hmm.
Because that's the audience that they courted. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to touch this fucking piece of crap.
Like they even tried, but now if you look at it even more, they tried to cover that by bringing out the man of 2019, Keanu Reeves, and
cast
marketed him
Keanu?
like crazy with it.
Keanu and everything, because
And I
Keanu's a really
love that
good
man.
dude.
He is brilliant, and he just got asked to do something, and he got a paid
Yeah,
job.
he did an acting job.
Yeah,
And, I don't. The game isn't. From what I've seen and heard and had people talk to me about, the game isn't that kind of overtly horrible game. It's insidiously horrible. And obviously, a lot of it comes down to the marketing beforehand. But things from inside the game aren't, like, in your face overtly, like, people just yelling sexist shit all over the place in the game. It's more insidious than that. It's background. It's in the background. You know what you're looking for, you'll find it. Kind of thing. And again, this is from me talking to people who have played the game, not from me playing the game. There's a reason there hasn't been any gameplay footage on this episode of the weekly review for 40 minutes now, because I don't have any. I haven't played it. And that's my piece, because you know how many fucking times people have wanted an opinion out of me about Cyberpunk 2077 over the past few weeks.
a lot.
Moody knows, because it's infuriated me. Where it's like, I have talked about this game for 2 years. I'm sick of talking about it. And if at this point you can't figure out that, no, I'm not going to play it, I can't tell you whether it's worth buying or not. So here's a video.
Yeah.
For all of you. It's a 40-minute discussion, give or take, how long we did at the intro, where Moody was Santa Claus. It's a 40-minute discussion where we just talk about the reasons why we ain't gonna play it. And if that's not good enough for you, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna touch it.
This is how annoying this game has been for me. I started ho-ho, and I left grinchy.
Throwing coal. Throwing coal.
Yeah, throwing coal and everything. Call for you! Call for you! Call for you in the head!
Yeah, right in between the eyes.
I ended up between the eyes, yeah. That's the thing about it. And like I say, you're allowed to get. I won't deny you or anyone. You are allowed to get hyped for a game. There's nothing wrong with that. But there, like what we've just gone through, what we've just talked about and spoke about. There's levels where you can't go to, and you go to it and you become a person. I'm sure you're not. I hope you're actually not. They are, all of them, aren't they? Probably, but yeah.
There is a certain subset of
just,
gamers that are 100%.
Yeah, especially when you're hiding behind Twitters or socials or whatever. We all know what you really are and everything. And it's just, oh, come on, people, man.
I've been dealing with them for years.
It is a game. It's a game I do intend to play eventually. It'll probably be the first game I play in 2021, which is only a couple of weeks away. And everything, but it's so disappointing that things have happened, that the enthusiasm has sucked right out of me, and I hold it out. I made the decision to stay and work with Amy, say I love Amy to bits and everything like that, and I want to talk about video games, but it sucks. We've said on many occasions, we don't want to be bitching about what a company has done. We don't want to be bitching about what a person has done or anything like that. We want to be saying these games are on the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is why this is why we implore you to play these games. This is a review show, and we haven't reviewed a game yet. That's how crazy this thing has come, because we've both had thoughts on this and we've both discussed it in depth privately, where we're just like, we need to talk about this in depth, and that's why thankfully we haven't really had a game to really talk about this week anyway, and we decided our final episode of this week is this.
Yeah, it's
You may not like what we're talking about, that's fair, but it needed to be talked about.
yeah, there are timestamps in the description. It's probably a bit late to say this now, but you can skip this entire thing. Just go to the next, because there are games we're going to talk about. But yeah, it helped that every game in existence that was launching around about now got out of the way of Cyberpunk. I mean, the game was already financially successful before it even came out, and I feel like that's something to talk about as well. Maybe it's not here, but at some point in the future, it's like a game was already profitable before it even launched.
Yeah. Same with like The Last of Us Part 2. It was profitable after its first 3 days.
And then, it's come out and a lot of people are disappointed because, like setting aside any sexism, transphobia, racism, any issues with the company, setting aside the company as a whole, the game is broken.
Yeah.
Fundamentally. Like, I haven't seen a bug. I haven't seen anything. Like, I haven't seen bug compilation videos coming out this quickly since Fallout 76.
Or No Man's Sky?
No, No Man's Sky didn't really have that many bugs. It was just a kind of bad game.
Didn't someone say, I don't know if it was you or if someone had said in our group chat last night when we were playing Among Us, someone said Cyberpunk is this year 2020's No Man's Sky or Fallout?
Fallout, I'd say Fallout. I don't know. I'd have to go back through it. It reminds me of Fallout 76. It's horrifically busted.
To what I can tell. And if anyone's enjoying it while playing it, like I hear people who are playing it, and there are problems and everything, but they're still enjoying it. That's fantastic. I celebrate that for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, enjoy your game. Like, whatever. Don't care. Like, I don't want. Like, it would be nice if you were socially conscious of the issues that are surrounding the company, but I don't want, like, you to not enjoy the thing you've been excited for unless you're a shitheel. Like, I don't want to be impacted by stuff like this. Like, I'd rather you just enjoy the video game whilst being conscious of the issues surrounding it. Speaking of issues surrounding it, let's talk about the console reviews that never came out before the game was released. Because CD Projekt Red did a bad, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about how they really intentionally misled people before this game came out.
Really?
Really.
They weren't already doing it before?
I mean, they were definitely doing it before. The review situation was already kind of weird because there was the buzz on Twitter because I follow a lot of people who review games or work at outlets or are generally in the industry. That's how my Twitter is set up. Because, like, not a great amount of outlets got review codes for the game, which was weird. Now, it's not necessarily a red flag. Like, we've seen this kind of thing happen before and the game's turned out fine. But it was weird. And then we started learning about the embargo. So when the embargo came up, everybody who reviewed the game played it on PC. Nobody had played it on PS4 or Xbox or PS5 or Xbox Series X, I guess. And they weren't allowed, video reviews weren't allowed to use their own captured footage. They were only allowed to use the B-roll that had been supplied.
Yeah. SkillUp talked about this as well on his Twitter, I believe.
This is a conversation that's happened. And it turns out the PC version of Cyberpunk 2077 is buggy, but not overly buggy. Let's go with that. And then when people started playing the PlayStation and Xbox versions on the consoles was when you really started to see the big glitches, the big bugs, the big malfunctions. The using a person as a ramp on a bike, crashing into a pipe and falling through, that kind of stuff. T-posing through the car, all the bugs you've already seen if you've looked if you've looked for this. And it turns out no one could review the game or even play. Like, no reviewers could even play the game before launch on a console. which just says to me that they were trying to hide how bad the game was
Yep.
in terms of its technical performance.
And it goes back to what we were saying when it was last delayed. Push it to 2021. You
I
should
don't
have
even
done
know.
it, and you haven't. And you've done this. And the thing is about it, they knew this was going to happen because they knew they were hiding it. The QA people who were getting, like, some of them are like getting smashed like crazy for Cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk. And I'm
Don't
just like,
harass
yo, it's not
developers.
their fault.
It's not the
This is a
developers'
higher up
fault.
thing. They just find the bug and tell, and write it down, say what's what, hand it off. They would have a list of bugs, and they would have found these bugs. I can guarantee you this, ladies and gentlemen. People I speak to who are QAs, they would have found these bugs, and it's just a higher up saying we need to get this out type of mentality because we want to get it out with the buzz of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X.
See, my issue with that is, I get where you're coming from. Delay the game and then they'll fix the game and then it won't.
Oh, crunch would have
Fucked.
still been happening. Like, we've spoken
That's
about
the
that
problem
multiple
because
times. That's the thing. Yeah, we both admit crunch would have still been happening, but the game would have come out probably least in a better state. That's
don't know if
guaranteed.
it
It would have
would.
come out in a better state if it came out, say, April.
I'm not sure that it would necessarily come out in much better state. Now, follow my logic here.
Go on.
I'm gonna take the wheel. We're gonna drive. Like so.
You have got a license, right?
No. So I've.
Fuck.
Hey, it's Cyberpunk, baby. If I hit someone, I'll just flip off them. Now, like we've talked about this once before. I remember specifically having a conversation on our podcast where this was the conclusion of overworked workers make mistakes. Like we've both been in situations. We don't work in the games industry yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for your benefit.
I'm changing my mind about it right now.
Where we've both been overworked, like in jobs that we've had. And we've both admitted we make more mistakes because, we've been working 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. And the longer you work under that kind of pressure, the more mistakes you make. And Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't a broken, buggy, unfinished game because it wasn't delayed and because, like, in spite of crunch, right? In spite of them working hard. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words here. It was a broken, buggy, unfinished game because they crunched. Like, a delay from, say, December to April that you just talked about would only help if they also throttle back on the working hours. Because what would happen is you'd probably just end up with the same... You probably end up with the same result in April, but with different bugs. Like, they would have fixed the ones that are happening now, but made a whole bunch of different ones because they're making mistakes because they will have been overworked for an extra 4 months.
I don't deny what you're saying. Yes, I'll admit we're all like you said, overworkedness brings mistakes, and I don't deny what you're saying there.
Yeah, and let me just point out, because I know this is an argument that happens on Twitter. I have a job where I have been overworked in the past. That does not mean I expect anyone else to have to overwork. In fact, I will fight against that.
Oh yeah, and I would fight against the diver as well. It's that's the thing about it. I think it's not only the crunch, though. I think it's a multiple of things and everything, like the mismanagement of how.
Oh God, yes, it's not just one issue.
They've been crunching for the entire year and everything. It's a whole bloody thing. Even if this game, it just shows if they didn't crunch, and they were doing normal hours and everything like this game probably wouldn't technically come out until probably next year. Probably late next year. If they wanted to do it properly, make sure this game is optimized properly for the consoles, not as much bugs. Every game goes out with bugs. We all know this. As long as it's not game-breaking bugs. Sadly, this game is doing game-breaking bugs. Bugs, not bugs. Bugs, ladies and gentlemen.
Bug snacks.
And and it's a whole bloody thing. And it's just showing that they rather thrown out. They knew how much money they were going to get back. They knew this, and they thought, let's get it
worry
out.
about the extra money.
They didn't
because
care about the stuff. Like I saw an article, and like someone's thrown out an article, or Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red have come out and said that they are changing their valuation of how their staff gets their bonuses.
The staff's getting the bonus, because it was meant to be tied to Metacritic. Now, you posited the Metacritic score of the PC version before, which has a 90 on Metacritic.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's no console score yet because the reviewers will have only been able to start playing the game on Thursday. and they're not going to review it. Like they'll play it over a weekend. But the PlayStation,
if they can.
the PlayStation 4 Metacritic has 3 reviews: 1 scored, 2 unscored, and a user score of 2.8. Now, the 3 reviews, one is from a French website called Jeux Video, 3.5 out of 10. Or 35 out of 100, one of the two. The other 2 are reviews in progress. One of them is from Push Square, which the summary on Metacritic reads, "We're still playing Cyberpunk 2077 in order to bring you a finished review, but it's impossible to recommend picking this game up at launch on PS4 or PS4 Pro. On PS5 via backwards compatibility, there's still fun to be had. A glimpse of the game's excellent potential, but even then, it's crippled by bugs and crashing issues." Even on a PlayStation 5, it's still crippled by bugs and crashing issues.
And they said that the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, it was not PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, they was playing really reasonably good on it. It was like we already knew, like they said themselves, that it was the old consoles that they were struggling to get this bugger to work on. And again, it just goes to the thing of that when they made the decision that they were going to put this on the new consoles that were coming, which they would have known was coming at least 2 years ago, if not more. They should have made the decision of, I know hindsight, like we've said multiple times, hindsight is a beautiful thing, obviously, after things happen and everything. But they should have made a decision. It was like, guys, we can't put this on the last gen consoles. We need to put it on the new gen, push it to 2021 and whatever, and then blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they've made this decision. At the end of the day, we know Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red are going to be absolutely fine by this. And
that's the thing. One of the most depressing things about this.
That is the depressing thing about it. It's they
used all of the dodgy marketing tactics. You know, they blatantly like used.
They lied
terrible things in their marketing leading up to the game. Then they also lied and misled and covered up as the game came out. It's a profitable game.
Yep.
3 days after launch.
Yep. That's the thing about it, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be talking about this game at the beginning of next year when the numbers come out for the end of the year thing. Yeah, the sale numbers and everything, because I doubt we'll have one next week, will we?
Not for Cyberpunk.
Not for Cyberpunk, will we? Yeah, so it'll be next year when we were talking about, and we'll be just like, yes, okay, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. I still haven't touched it. I still don't intend to touch it type of mentality, what we'll both be saying and everything. Or I'll be saying, I've started it. I have no judge on it right now, something like that. But yeah, games are meant to be fun, and I don't have any enthusiasm to play this right now. And I don't even know if I will play this, ladies and gentlemen. That's the thing, what's depressing about it. Games are fun. I do it. I play them for fun. I want to get into them because I want to help them, but I also, what's what I want to do. And to see the shit, it's disgusting, and I hate society sometimes. I really do. I hate you a lot. I hate you all sometimes. You're terrible people sometimes. Just over something, just over a piece of entertainment. There are some real world things going on right now. Go on my Twitter right now. I've tweeted on a lot of shit today about a certain Tory fucking government. It's just, come on, guys, man. Let's just be better, man. Fucking hell, we're in the 21st century. We've got to be doing better in this.
I
don't even want to talk about the game. I want to talk the game I've played. I'm not gonna lie, Amy.
It's fine.
That's how depressing this has made me.
Because next we're going to talk about. I was just going to do a segue, but if you've got some more to say, that's fine.
No, I was just going to say, like, this whole segment that I knew we deserved to be talked about, but I knew it was going to put me in a downer. But go on, what are we moving into?
I'm going to bring you back up, mate. I'm going to pull you back up.
Bring me back up, Amy.
Because now we're going to make fun of a video game.
Oh, cool! I like doing that.
Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, smart.
Operation Taking Aim. I played it, Moody.
Cool.
I've
heard things.
Fucking had to download a 50 gigabyte patch that my Xbox didn't download automatically. So you're on fucking notice.
You're on notice.
boy, oh,
Bad Xbox.
bad Xbox. And then my batteries in my controller ran out.
Oh
But
god, that's a whole different thing for Amy.
I've literally asked everyone I know who's like, "What can I get you for Christmas?" I've literally gone up to
Batteries.
all of them and been like, "Play a charge kit, please. Get me a playing charge kit, please, for the love of God, somebody get me a playing charge kit."
All batteries.
Or like all the AAA, the AA batteries, just all of them.
Yeah.
But no, I played it. I played it for a few hours. It's very much just the same game I described in the video I did earlier this year. Like, it is still Avengers. Like, I haven't touched the game in a while, because I've had an entire new console to play. Like, I've had a lot of new games to play that I've been really enjoying. And it's still that game where it's like I can just sit here and mindlessly punch things and like be entertained enough. You know what I mean? But this came with a whole new storyline and a new
And
character.
with a character you really liked, yeah.
So it's like, yay! Like I'm not just setting a podcast away and punching everybody as Captain America. And then the game starts and you have to do a mission with the original Avengers. So I spent the first hour of the game punching everyone as Captain America. And I was like, it's cool though, because I'm going to get to the new character. And then we get the new character, Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. The best Hawkeye. Don't at me. I mean, if we're going to be controversial, we might as well just go all in on this episode. But she's really cool. Like, obviously her main weapon is a bow and arrow.
I didn't expect that.
She also has a sword. You can like do melee attacks and stuff. And it's not like a secondary weapon where it's like it's an afterthought. It's like a last resort kind of thing. It's like you can actually spec Kate Bishop to be a melee fighter if you want. Like it's one of the things I've always liked about Avengers. It's like when the skill trees are really deep and the customization is really deep. Like for each of the characters, like in Captain America, you can spec Captain America around throwing his shield and being a ranged character if you really want to do that. And it's like the framework exists to support that decision. So with Kate Bishop, you can actually just make a melee fighter and just hack everyone to pieces with a sword. But I wanted to play with a bow and arrow, so that's what I did. Like you get 3 different arrow types right off the bat that you can switch between at will. So you got the normal standard arrow. You can fire like a 3-arrow spread. Or you can fire explosive arrows. Which are really fun. But what you have to remember is like you have to hold the longer you hold the thing down, the further the arrow goes. So if you just push the button, you'll just basically fire an explosion at your feet. Nothing will happen.
And then kill yourself.
No, it does not friendly fire on.
Oh, that's very disappointing.
But like she's really fun to play like as a character. Like again, like the customization's really deep to the point where it's like you can change like powers work. So like her standard abilities. She's got the warp arrow where you fire an arrow and then like you teleport to where the arrow is. She's got a decoy that you can deploy, so like you can, if like you get swarmed, you can like pop the decoy and then enemies will attack the decoy and you can get away while you're shooting your arrows. And then her ultimate ability is the only thing that's a little bit disappointing because it's just like, hey, supercharge your arrows with quantum energy. It's like cool, so it's just like firing arrows except they do way more damage. I don't know. I was expecting something a little bit flashier, a little bit more creative, but it's fine. It's fine. But it's like I've got a new specialization unlocked because I wasn't using the warp arrow. So I unlocked a new specialization where it turns it into like this thing where you fire it and it draws enemies in, like into it, in towards it, and does damage. And there's some. I think I left the footage in here of like this amazing clip where I got like 20 robots, and they all just get drawn in. And then I just switched to the spread arrows, and I'm just fucking obliterating so many robots. And I was like, hey, this is pretty fun.
The fire's back, guys. You know.
But yeah, it's like the objectives still suck. There were no new ones, so you'll be doing something, and it'll be like, "Hey, open this thing and attack the inanimate object." And it's like, all right, and you got to do that 3 times. You say, great. Or like, "Hey, here's a thing where you have to stand on the thing so Jarvis can hack." And you have to stand there and enemies come at you and you fight them and it's like, go stand on it. And it's like, okay, this is, yep, sure. Yep, brilliant. Vaults are still the worst thing in the world. Where it's like you have to do the code entry. So you have to do this 3 times and it gives you a code, like say 5 and 3, right? and there are terminals dotted all over the place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you've got to go and stand next to the one that says 5, and then it goes beep, and then you go, okay, now I've got to find the one that says 3, and you find the one that says 3, and you stand next to that. Oh no, someone's trying to hack the one that says 2. Go find that before they hack it and reset the entire code sequence. And it's just like, I must have missed these issues of Avengers where they stood next to fucking consoles. And that's my biggest problem with Marvel's Avengers right now. Is that it does a real, like, apart from the main characters, right, are brilliant. The superheroes.
We all like them.
It does such a bad job of utilizing Marvel comics. All of the enemies in this game are still fucking robots. And I get it. These are the Adaptoids. They've been in Marvel comics before. Moody, there's a boss fight in this game, which I did twice in the main campaign, and it's back. And I don't understand why it's back. There are so many supervillains. There is so many supervillains in Marvel history. And all they could manage for taking aim was a giant crab robot I'd fought twice in the main campaign. And at the end, there's the Super Adaptoid, which is basically just, it has, like, abilities from all of the different Avengers, and you have to fight it. So it has, like, the hammer, and it throws a shield and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, guys, what the hell? There's a massive, like, rogues gallery in Marvel history, and you need to start using it. Could you imagine if, like, Batman Arkham Asylum had come out? And, like, all the boss fights were just against the henchmen, but a bit beefier. And there was no, like, Victor Zsasz, and there was no Joker, and there was no Bane. Yeah. And there was no Killer Croc. Like, that game wouldn't have got a sequel. Because everybody would have been like, well, what was the point? In having a Batman game with no Batman villains. Cool. What's the point in having an Avengers game with no Avengers villains? There were, like, even the main campaign, I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, there was only 3 Marvel, like, apart from the Adaptoids, there were only, like, 3 Marvel villains in it, like, villains. Like, there was Taskmaster, Abomination, and MODOK. And MODOK was the main villain, so he's gone now. He's gone. So basically, you've got 2 super villains on a loop in this game. And I was hoping when they added Operation Taking Him, they would at least put in 1 more in. Nope.
That's really bad.
To be continued lazy as well, because obviously this is part 1 of 2. Like, it's an interesting story. It does some interesting stuff. And there's a really fun sort of time travel-y sequence that becomes quite interesting in retrospect when you realise all the devastation you were walking through to get to a certain point, and then you go back in time and realise that you caused it all. Which I was like, clever.
Huzzah, we
well
knew
done.
That.
Yeah, it crashed twice while I was doing the crab robot fight as well. I was like super pissed because I was like, you have to do the entire mission again. And it was like, I'm so close to finishing it because the boss has this much health. And then it does that thing where it freezes on, and the console goes, and then it just dies. It's like, oh man. Also, the first hour wasn't great because I haven't played the game for a month and a half and I forgot how to play it.
Yeah.
So I jumped back in as Captain America and I was like, what were all the buttons again? Like, I mean, I know all the basic buttons, but it was like, wait, this combat system is a bit more in-depth than Button Masher. I have to try and remember all the moves I unlocked and what they do. Oh, no. I don't.
What?
Crap.
What? No. Yeah. That's a shame. Well, it's the same with Cyberpunk, isn't it? It's a game that shouldn't have come out this year.
I mean, Avengers, yeah, again, like, it's still getting there. Like, I fully believe a year after it's come out, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, but there needs to be some. Like, Crystal needs to take a look at itself and what it wants from this game, because, like, Kate Bishop coming out was great because the character was great, the story was cool, and it was much needed content. But like you're gonna do the next one, which is I think called Future Imperfect, which is gonna be the other Hawkeye, Clint Barton. Um, and then that's a continuation of this. But they really need to take a look at themselves for content that's coming out after that, because you really need to start taking advantage of the fact that this is a fucking Avengers game.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds like we are not doing that.
act like it. I guess, like, is what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's an Avengers game. It needs to fucking act like it's an Avengers game. Like, this is the big leagues of Marvel, right?
This is the biggest IP arguably in the world right now.
Like, fucking sort it out. Like, take advantage of this license. The gameplay is fine. You don't need to worry about the gameplay. And you're doing a good job with introducing characters. Right? Give me something else to fucking punch apart that aren't robots. Jesus. Jesus. I didn't sign up for a superhero game to fight fucking robots, okay?
All they'll do is just bring in the scroll and they'll play the same way.
Probably. But at least it'll be something different.
But it'll get boring really fast.
No, I'm still not even bored of it. That's the weirdest part. It's like I could play this game for hours.
Oh, that's good. I celebrate that you enjoy it.
Like, I want to, like, level up Kate Bishop and get all of us, like, levels up and stuff. Because, like, I kind of feel like she might be my main now because I really enjoy her playstyle.
Oh, that's good.
Even over Captain America's. But that might just be because, again, I forgot how to play as Captain America. I was like, oh no!
Forgot about Cap. Oh no.
Sorry, Cap. I also played a game called The Pathless.
Oh, is that good? I hear that's great.
It's really good, yeah.
I'm gonna say you're gonna disappoint me, aren't you?
No, I'm not. It's really good. I saved the best for last, although not last, because I know you want to talk about the game as well. But it's really good. So I'm at that point now where I'm like, I've got the list of games from 2020 that I haven't played that I want to play. Like, and I know I'm not going to get through the whole list. I'm going to read the list at the end of this podcast, but the Pathless was on there, and I was like, I want to play this because this looks fun, looks interesting, and I played it. I finished the first world biome bit. Like, there's a tutorial bit, which obviously I've done, and then I've done like the first world.
Yeah.
Of like, I think there's 3 altogether. It's really good. It took a bit of getting used to. So it's like it's an action adventure game. It's an adventure game. I don't know if there's much action in it. And a lot of it is centered around the movement mechanics. So you run around this massive area. Like the first area is really big. And you run it, and you run quite fast. And you have to. It's all around keeping your momentum up. So you're, for want of a better term, sprint bar will deplete quite quickly. But you can keep topping it up and get speed boosts by shooting. There's like targets everywhere in this world, and like you've got a bow and arrow, and you don't have to aim. Like the game will just lock onto them for you, and you just have to hold the trigger down for like a second till the thing fills up and you shoot, and it's really cool. So like you just keep moving faster, and it's like you just keep hitting these targets, and it becomes really intuitive really quickly. And it looks super cool, and it feels really cool because you're just blasting across this forest, and you'll slide on your knees as you're aiming the bow and arrow, and then just pooh, and then like you'll get a speed boost as you get back up, and you go.
Very good.
But what you're actually doing is like there's a story. I don't want to talk anything about the story. Like it's really interesting and it is really cool, and I suggest you, like, if you're gonna go and check it out, you don't want me talking about it. So what you do in the game is, and I have a feeling it could, like, unless they mix things up, which I don't see how they could mix things up because this isn't really a progression type game.
Yeah.
So it might get a little repetitive towards the end, but right now it's great. You're essentially, there's like, each area has a boss, like a creature, and it's a corrupted guardian of whichever realm you're in. And the idea is you need to cleanse it. To do that, first you need to draw it out, I guess is the best way to describe it. So what you're doing is there's these towers located all around the map. And it's like they all have puzzles. And you solve the puzzle and you unlock the puzzle piece, I guess, for that. And then you use that in another tower to like get rid of the darkness, let's say. I think that's probably a good way to describe it. And that's the game. So like you do that a bunch, and then you unlock the quote unquote boss fight. The puzzles are really interesting. They're all generally based around either traversal or there's a hawk that you get like as a little pet dude, which you can use to like jump higher or it can pick stuff up, and that's part of the puzzle solving. Or it's based around like shooting arrows. So like there's this really cool moment where I was like looking up at a tower and it's like, right, I clearly can't get up there. And there's like two targets like right on the end that I can hit. Like they're like fire pits. And it's like you have to like line up your shots with the arrow to like fire through the fire pit that's lit to hit the ones that aren't. And then boom, boom. Do you know what it reminds me of? Like a Zelda dungeon. Like not as in depth as like an old Legend of Zelda dungeon.
Yeah.
But like the puzzle mechanics and the focus on puzzles kind of remind me of that because there's no enemies in the game.
Yeah.
Like as you're running around the world, there's nothing to kill. Like you can get caught out. It was really funny, and I don't remember if I put the footage in the footage that's playing on the YouTube video. But like if you hang around the darkness too long without doing anything, like this pulse comes out because you can see there's this huge, like in the first world there's like this huge red fucking burny flamey mass thing, which is where the boss is.
Bernie Flamey Mass.
That's the best way to describe it. I'm sticking with it. But like it was really funny in that like I was hanging around one of the towers and I was just like, where the fuck, how do I do this? Like, fucking, what the fuck do I do here? Like, you know, and then it was like, wait, the screen's distorted a little bit. And like, it's in the footage. And again, I don't know if I've included it, and I hope I have because it's really funny because I was like, what's happening? And then like, I looked down with the camera and like, there's like this little red wave, very faint, just going across the ground all of a sudden. And I'm like, what's happening? And then like, I look across to where the big red, flamey, fiery mass is, and it's like, it's moving. It's like expanding towards me. And there's literally that moment where I just go, oh shit! And then I just start running. It's like, ching, ching, fucking run! But you get caught in that, and then it's like a mini boss kind of thing almost. The one that I did, it was like a stealth thing. Where I had to reach my hawk who had been injured. And it was like, it's like you have to move, and then when it looks at you and the light comes on, you stop. It's like red light, green light. And then you get to like brush the darkness stuff off of your hawk manually. So you're petting a hawk down, which is super therapeutic. It's just like, oh, it's okay, that guy. And when you put it all together, it's great. Like the boss fight that I played was really fun. Like you have to go into the flamey fiery bit. And then you chase the boss around. So the forest's on fire, and it's like you got to avoid the fire, and then it'll shoot fireballs at you, and you're literally running after it, and you've got to try and keep your momentum up by hitting the targets. And then you've got to hit the side of it, and then that staggers it, and then like it goes into another phase where you got to fight it in a tower, and then that goes into another phase, and it's all really epic, and the music's fucking amazing, and the visuals are outstanding, like. And it's just like, you know what? I started it like at the beginning, being like, oh, I don't know about this, like, and then like but then I just played it like without stopping, and then by the time I was finished the boss, and then I was moving on to the next area, I was like, fuck, this is good. Like, oh yeah, like everything clicks, the puzzles, the world, the visuals, the music, the movement. Like, it all just clicks together, and it's just like, this is great. Like, it feels like it's not going to be very long.
Yeah.
But, hell yeah. Like, there's the stealth, the stealth section bit I was talking about is on the YouTube video right now. It's all red and stuff. Moody, this game, like, looks
I've
amazing.
seen the trailer for it. It does look amazing.
And I was playing it on PC, so I didn't get it on my PS5. I got it on my PC for some reason. And it's stunning even on my PC. So I can't even imagine what it would look like if I got it on PS5.
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah, I've got it on my wish list. I'll have a look to see see if I get any money from Santa.
Yeah, I'm thinking from Santa I might need a wave 3.
Is there anything that hasn't worked for you on this game?
Honestly, it starts out a bit slow, and that's
All right.
the worst I can say about it. So
You haven't completed this, so have you?
no,
So
I haven't completed it yet. So actually that's not even true. So it starts out on a tutorial area where you have to like do the tower thing 3 times, but it's very basic just to get you used to what you're going to be doing, how you're going to be solving puzzles, and how you're going to be moving through the world, because obviously that's the big one. And then you go through another little bit of a tutorial area where you're learning about puzzle solving with the hawk. But it's once it drops you into the main open part of the game. For the first, and again, it wasn't even that long, but for the first sort of 15-20 minutes, because it's very much not a guided experience, like you kind of have to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
So for that first 15 or 20 minutes, you can sort of be almost grasping not even grasping at straws, grasping for straws, where it's like, help, I need something. Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? And the quicker you figure that out, the quicker you'll get into the fun. Because once you figure out, oh, I'm supposed to be solving puzzles to collect these tokens to spend on these towers. Great. Excuse me. Once you figure that out and you get into the loop of the game, that's when it starts really sort of clicking. But there was a bumpy bit where I was like, ooh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh no, this thing's coming towards me now.
Well, at least I'm glad you pushed through that and you're enjoying it, so that's good. It's something I've got on the radar for from next week on, from after next week onward. Basically, obviously, I finished college next week, and we're all basically starting to finish soon. So yeah, I'm really I've got games ready to go.
Well, that is a game. Like I say, like it's pretty relaxed. Like even in the boss fight, I messed it. Oh shit! I didn't mean to bring that up. Sorry, I just covered my face with something for a second there. I messed it up at one point and I didn't die. There was no reset point at all. It was like you're in a tower, you get knocked out of the tower, and it's pretty cool. You just like and you fall out and everything's on fire, and then like you go back up, and you go again, and it's like so there's no like, man, I died and I have to reload from this checkpoint. It's literally just like round 2, motherfucker. Like let's fucking do this. I'm ready for you this time.
I am ready. Fight! Round 2. Fight!
Which I really appreciated because, again, the boss fight on Avengers crashed twice, so I was like, I was done with checkpoints.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, so that's fantastic.
Yep. Did you want to mention anything?
Yeah, I'll talk about the game after I finished Spider-Man Miles Morales. I know I've talked about this, 2 weeks in a row, I think now, or at least definitely last
You
week
talked about it for one, and then I talked about it before.
Yeah, I completed this. Absolutely love this game. It is so good. What we talked about, like when you talked about it, but also I'll reiterate what I said last week. The mechanics are absolutely fantastic. I completely agree with you that the stealth mechanics are OP. Very OP in this game. Like maybe a little too OP. Miles' stealthiness is a bit OP, but the character is absolutely fantastic with the additions that they added into the game as well. With the other characters, I absolutely adored. I love the town feel camaraderie between all the cast and everything. That it was all about Harlem, and that I have to defend Harlem, and I love what happens at the end. I really enjoyed that. I think that's a really, really unique to spin what they do for it. That none of them ratted them out or anything, which I thought was fantastic.
It's like the train sequence on the Spider-Man 2 movie, except not too cheesy, and I could actually get into it. I know what you mean. I thought that myself, even though the scene is still epic at the same time. But I agree with you with the story elements. There are some elements that I think needed to be a little bit more flushed out. Yeah.
But again, I think it only needed like maybe an hour or two more.
It just needed a couple more scenes with his uncle. and
Yeah,
with his friend, with his childhood
yeah,
friend, like,
yeah,
because there are moments that happen later where it's like, I don't really know you. Like, so
yeah.
this is cool in abstract, but it could have hit emotionally if we'd had more time to get to know you.
I agree. I think if it was a couple of sequences in different orders, I think it might have fixed that a little bit. Because there's a part that happens at the end, I think could have been pushed maybe at the beginning of the game, really, and everything. For like when you first meet her, we meet his friend and everything, which is she's a really good character. I really enjoyed her. It's just like I said, there's a couple of things that needed that little extra push, but it could have been fixed with those couple of alterations. But yeah, the game it's fabulous. The swing mechanics, my goodness. Oh God, I forgot how
Man,
great
it's
these
so
swing
good,
mechanics
isn't
when
it?
you're playing them. Yeah, because I haven't played Spider-Man for like 2 years now
2 years,
since I
yeah,
last
same,
played it.
yeah.
So getting into this was just like, God, this feels so good. Like,
I'm
why do I need the fast travel?
I'm
I
back.
admit I used a couple of fast travels just because I wanted to.
I used it once just to see how,
Yeah,
like, just to like test the power of the PlayStation 5 and see if it would, load
yeah,
instantly, and it did. It did.
yeah. They loaded instantly. I had a couple of crashes, but I think that's more because I didn't put the update in. My PlayStation isn't attached to the internet, so I haven't got the update. It's basically just what they released on the disc.
God.
So I think that's just my fault and everything like that. So I don't hold that against them or anything like that because I know they've said themselves they put out a patch and there was a patch out there. So there's a couple now, I believe. So I'm sure this thing is completely that part fixed and everything. So it's my fault. I hold that. But yeah, it's just so good. It is an excellent game. It's for me, it is one of the best games of the year. Yes, it could have used that little bit extra longness to just to flush out a character, but at the same time, I was just like, I put the controller down. I felt satisfied, like after a nice good meal where you're not too stuffed. And like everyone's complaints when this game was revealed. How long is this game going to be? What? It's only like 10, 15 hours? What? That's not a game. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh,
Blah, blah,
shut
blah.
up. Like, seriously, shut up. As long as the game is entertaining, that's all you want. And it was entertaining. It's fabulous. I loved Peter Parker in this game, even though he's not in it much. But you just, when you hear him, it's just so good. I really like the parts when he's doing the training mechanics, like the pigeon thing again. I thought was just so fun. Yeah, the game was brilliant, really good. I won't lie, I don't think it's as good as the first Spider-Man game, but that one game I didn't expect what the things we were going to get for that game. We knew what we were expecting with this game. That's the only down thing. That's it. It's this great game is great.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah,
Get it?
the original game was like, I mean, it was fantastic. But it was like Insomniac going, "Don't worry, guys, trust us," because it was like the quintessential Spider-Man story.
And
Like, it
the end,
felt Spider-Man through and through.
yeah, the end picture I think is brilliant.
Yes.
Not the end credits scene, the ending of the game before
Yeah.
the end credits scene. I think is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's like a relationship which never really have developed on screen, because obviously, like, one of the characters of those two isn't really in the game. But it's like you can see from the beginning to the end, like the relationship is developed. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to say spoilers. The only thing, my one like true criticism, like true criticism of Miles Morales is I needed more of his mother.
Yeah, oh, she was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, there's more in the further games and everything like that. Maybe another sequel spin-off for him. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get another sequel spin-off
Oh yeah,
and everything. I'll be very surprised if they don't do that. But yeah, I think this game was fantastic. Like we've heard, but like our personal friend MC Fixer, he cried at the end. That's just that's a testament. That's a testament how great this game is. I loved it. I absolutely loved and adored this. Well done, Insomniac.
yeah.
I never faltered once when it came to this game. I was literally
No.
thinking, yeah, I trust you.
What did I
You've done a
say?
great job in previous games before. I trust
PS5,
you.
PS5 reveal all the way back in June, whatever it was. So
They're
we saw
starting big.
Miles Morales, and I was like, we got a fucking show. Like, I always believed in the strength of Spider-Man as a game and a launch game for PS5. And like, cool,
Yep.
it's a Lost Legacy situation, fine by me.
And Lost there, I like to say I love Lost
I love
Legacy.
Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man Miles Morales. Cool. That's it. That's everything we got to talk about. It's the last one of the year. I successfully cheered you up though. That's why I went from Avengers to Pathless, because normally I would go through the game that I liked the most first, but then it was like, no, this needs to be like an incline going back
Yeah, I
up.
was wondering how you were starting it. I was thinking, wait, she said she was going to cheer me up here, and she's starting with Avengers. Okay.
But it worked. I did my thing. So we're done. There's one more the podcast, the serious one. The serious newsy one will happen on Friday, but then that's it. We're wrapped for 2020. We're taking a 2-week break for Christmas and New Year, and then we'll be back with the next episode of the weekly review, which will be Game of the Year. We're going to both do our top 20s with probably some shout outs, some honourable mentions, whatever. I finally got Mooney to agree to let me consider Among Us. It's in video. You can't stop me.
Did I?
Yeah, you did last week when we talked about Game Awards and Among Us. And I guess you don't remember, but you said it. I won.
I don't remember this, Amy.
I will find the clip and I will
Find that
videotape
clip,
it
yeah.
on my phone, and I'll be like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can you now? What are you going to do now? I was in we played Among Us last night, and afterwards.
Okay, I know. I remember what I said now, because I
Yeah.
said, if your rules are the same as Jeff Keighley's, that's fine.
Yeah,
And your
you
rules
had
are the
that
same as
pained
his,
look on
so
your
that's
face when
fine.
you said it, and I was
Yeah.
like, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to
Yeah,
rub it in.
I don't agree with it, but at the end of the day, this is your show, and I respect you what your rules are, and that's what you want to do. And I went fine,
Well, we'll see where it ends up.
but
Yeah.
I know it's not on my bloody top 20.
My top 20. Well, it might be in my top 20. Maybe it'll only be in my top 20 because it's not in your top 20. And I feel like one of us needs to talk about it.
I don't think any of us need to talk about it. It's got enough it's got enough publicity itself. It doesn't need us to.
This podcast isn't about publicity. If it was, it would be an abject failure.
That's true.
Yeah, so like I don't know about you, but I'm spending the next sort of 3 weeks before the next podcast, because that's how time works. Even though we're only taking a 2-week break, because obviously this week also counts. Playing games that I missed, and I have a list.
Yes,
I have a list of games. You can see some of them are already crossed off, because one of them was the Pathless. Just talked about that. One of them is Call of the Sea, which was in Game Pass, and I tried it for 30 minutes, and I was like, nope, not for me. I turned it off, and I was like, I'm not even going to talk about it in the podcast. It was wasn't even a not for me because of X, Y, and Z. It was literally just like not a game I'm into right now.
not for you at all. Yeah.
And there's no point in talking about it.
Create a list.
My list. I'm going to go through my list, and I'm not going to play all of these games. Like, I'll play some of them. It's an aspirational list because I've also got a list of games I want to finish. But like games that I haven't covered that might end up on my Game of the Year 2020 list. Little Misfortune, Paradise Killer, Manifold Garden. Tell me why. Moody's very annoyingly wanting me to play it. Like, have you played it yet? Have you played it yet?
Well, I've asked you.
I'm gonna play it. That's
Do what
probably
you want.
that's the one on this list that I'm definitely gonna play. All right. I just wanted to play it in an environment where I didn't have to do a podcast about it.
Yeah, I understand that.
I've also got If Found, Lair of the Clockwork God, Crusader Kings 3, Mooney. I'm gonna dedicate time to sit down and learn this game. Because if you remember when we podcasted about it, I bounced off of this game because I was like, it's really dense and there's a lot of information. I have a friend who plays it. I'm going to ask them for advice because I feel like I could love this game if it will just let me in. So I'm going to force my way in. Wait, no, that sounded bad.
Maybe just a little bit there.
Demon Souls is also on my list for my PS5. Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity is on my list. 13 Sentinels is on my list, and Welcome to Alex on my list. That's my list. I won't play all of those, but I will play some of them over the next few weeks, and you might hear about some of them in our next episode of my top 20 games of 2020. We'll see. You never know.
Very good, very good. I'm writing up my list right now. I can tell you a couple of them.
I mean,
Obviously, I've got to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've got to do Yakuza.
yeah, I've got a finish list as well.
Ghost Runner, I want to try. I'm going to try the demo for that. If I really enjoy it, I'll buy it. The Pathless, what you've just dropped off as well. I've got to get my Steam page.
Oh,
up so I know.
I'm also playing Yes, Your Grace. It's ticked
That's
off my
on
list.
Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ticked off my list because I'm playing it, but not to the point where I was like, I'm going to talk about it. Like, you know, it's a game that I've played. Like, but
Yeah.
I'm playing. Sorry.
I've got Florence to play. At least I think it says Florence. Florence. Yeah, Florence. Littlewood that I bought. I've got a couple of things on my wish list. The wish list. Spelunky. I want to try Spelunky. It's on sale right now, which is really annoying. I can't get it right now.
Wait for the Epic Games sale.
Yeah. Desperados 3, I hear great things about that, but I don't know if I'll get around to that. That's on sale as well, which is even more annoying. I think that's basically. I'm sure there's other games I need to look into as well, but I think that's the gist of it for me on my end.
Cool.
Like I said,
Well, we'll meet back here in a few weeks and we'll talk about the games that were the best in 2020.
yay. Let's have a look.
Cool. I need to pee, so let's wrap this podcast up.
Bug snacks. I forgot about bug snacks.
How could you forget about bug snacks? I've sung the song to you 100,000 times this year.
Sorry.
Bug snacks.
Oh, I better remove the medium for.
The medium is not happening.
No, it's not that. It'll be going to Game Pass, so I don't have
We'll
to get
also
it.
be going to Game Pass.
Yeah, so I don't have to worry about that.
Cool. That'll do it. We'll see you for the podcast on Friday. If you don't listen to the podcast and you just listen to the review podcast, we'll see you in 2021.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
I feel that's off something.
Die Hard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the game we endlessly spoofed and parodied and when we were playing Among Us yesterday.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Bye.